Millions of South Africans depend on public transport every single day. With the rising cost of living, commuters have to fork out more to get to work. Now, this morning, our reporters are around the country to take a look at the system, what works and what doesn't. Manqoba Mchunu checks out one of the public transport services in the country, the Gautrain, and Ronald Masinda joins us from Cape Town. He's on Metro Rail. Good morning, gentlemen. Let me start with you, Manqoba. When you look at Metro Rail, it's well known not to be on time. Punctuality is, of course, important for anybody going to work. But you look at the Gautrain, it fares a little bit better when it comes to that, doesn't it?
Indeed, Tony, and in fact that's one of the factors why many of the people who use the Gautrain daily say exactly that they want to use the service. It's because, first of all, it's reliable, it's safe, and they know that they'll get to their destinations on time. Of course, you'll know, Tony, that the Gautrain has trains 10 minutes times, and so really those who want to commute during these times are able to reach their destinations without any hardships. So that's perhaps one of the reasons also why many of the commuters here say they're prepared to dig a bit deeper into their pockets, given the fact that Gautrain is not an easy mode, a cheaper mode of transport here in Gauteng. Of course, you will have to pay a bit more to ride on a Gautrain rather than other forms of transport. You know that, for example, taxis, you'll pay perhaps a little bit less than what you'll pay in a Gautrain, for example, for a trip heading to Pretoria. But the people here are saying it's all about reliability, and that's the reason why they are here this morning. I've got one of the commuters here, Taryn Murray. She uses the Gautrain daily, and of course she says on average on a week she spends about 300 to 400 rand, Taryn, to go to work. Why?
Correct, yes. That's the prices of Gautrain, and we're prepared to pay it for the reliability. I think it's the best mode of transport for South Africa since it started, and we really enjoy it. It's safe, it's reliable, it's on time. Yes.
Okay. So tell us about your daily trip. So where are you going? And, when do you commute? Do you commute during peak times or during off-peak times to try perhaps save costs?
Yes, I travel from Pretoria Hatfield to Midrand every morning, and in the evenings I travel from Midrand to Hatfield every evening.
And what do you make of other forms of transport? I mean, you could perhaps use your car, you could take a taxi, for example. What are you finding from other modes of transport?
There's less insurance costs, there's no excess payment to pay when you're in an accident. It just feels safer in the Gautrain, not having to drive or being traffic and having that stress on you of being in traffic constantly. So that's why we use it.
And you're happy with the service, I can see.
Yes, of course. Definitely.
And in terms of COVID-19 and the COVID-19 regulations, I can see that there are quite, strict COVID-19 regulations here. People having to sit, with social distancing observed. What are you finding here? What's your experience like?
Well, Gautrain has been excellent in keeping everything clean between stops. At Hatfield, Pretoria, they do clean the train and disinfect and try and keep us safe distance-wise. And yes, regulatory, mandatory is the masks to wear, and that's the way to go. It's safe. It's extremely safe.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's Taryn Murray, who is one of the commuters, but I'm going to move to another commuter. She, of course, doesn't use the Gautrain as often as Taryn does. She only uses it once in a while for business purposes, she tells me. That's Steve Okana. Fevo Kana. Fevo, you were telling me earlier on that you are a businesswoman and that, you find the Gautrain to be more reliable when you want to go and do your business.
Yeah, Gautrain is more reliable and safe and comfortable because each time I use it, it's more safe and more reliable and more comfortable than buses. So I always use a Gautrain weekly.
So what was your experience? Why did you opt for the Gautrain? What was your experience with other forms of transport, your taxis, your buses, that made you to say, no, I'd rather use the Gautrain?
Yeah, I rather use Gautrain because of the safety and the more comfortable and more reliable. So it's one of those things that I choose to use Gautrain. And since I've been using Gautrain, I'm more happier than using buses.
What was your experiences with the buses and the taxis?
My experience is very tough because sometimes you cannot get where you're going earlier, and it's not comfortable, and the prices are not even different. It's just a little money different from the prices. From the Gautrain and the Gautrain, the difference is not up to 20 rand or 10 rand, and the comfort and the safer is more in Gautrain, so that's why I'm using Gautrain.
Okay. And in terms of, do you think that other people can afford the Gautrain? Because many people view it as, a rich sort of a mode of transport for people who can afford.
Yes, before I thought it's expensive, but when I start using it, I find out the difference is like 10 rand, 8 rand. So you find out the difference is not much. It's affordable to use a Gautrain, and safety and faster and more comfortable. So I think people may like to use a Gautrain. That is the best for traveling.
Okay, well, those are some of the sentiments it's in here, Tony. Happy customers of the Gautrain here saying that this is their preferred method, and for the reasons that we've said before, the reliability of it and the fact that it can get them from point A to point B safe and on time.
All right, thank you so much, Mangoba Del.